Wildaway listeners, Imran on the Wild, I hope you guys are all well. NBA Finals, Game 2 is over. Game 3 is looming. What have we seen? In my opinion, we've seen the Milwaukee Bucks kind of out of sorts. You know, sometimes, even though Giannis is having a good he had a great statistical night after Game 2, I've noticed that there's a difference between when he's forcing it and when things come in, like, for example, transition, right? And in transition, he seems to be the most effective. And obviously the Bucks need Drew Holiday, they need Middleton, they need all those guys to step up and be a little bit more consistent. But more importantly, and the purpose of today's video, is Chris Paul, somebody who deserves his flowers. He deserves all the praise that belongs to him at the age of 36, someone who's probably only like 6 foot, 6'1". Not many instances of undersized point guards. And when I mean undersized, he's not the size of, say, a Derrick Rose or a Russell Westbrook or a Jason Kidd or even a Steve Nash at that, right? He's a smaller framed and smaller bodied point guard. He's very strong though, but you've seen his dedication to his craft, and you've seen his basketball IQ and acumen and how far it's taken him. Now, I was a Chris Paul hater for a while. I mean, I appreciated his game, but because so many times where he would get eliminated in the various rounds of the Western Conference, and he would sustain injuries, obviously not his fault. You can't say things like he's injury prone, or that's like something he wants to happen, right? But with Chris Paul, you're seeing it all come together, and all started in that round 1, game 1, where he got injured against the Lakers. He took that stinger to the neck, but he came back. He did as well as he could. He did good against the Nuggets. He did good in the last round, right, against the Clippers. We saw the maestro, we saw the closer, we saw the guy who was driven. And now we're seeing what he's doing to the Milwaukee Bucks, even against the bigger Drew Holiday and the different individuals that are guarding him from the Milwaukee Bucks. But the whole point is to give this guy his flowers, to give him his credit, but also to understand what makes him such a special player as an undersized point guard. Number one, it's clear that he's a gym rat, right? It's clear that he's an individual that hits the gym, he works out, he probably eats right, and also he's someone who studies the game and he practices a lot. He's probably one of the individuals who gets in the gym, gets up shots, he studies other players, he works and practices and works on his skills and does various drills to stay ready. So at the age of 36 in these playoffs, he hurt his neck, tore the ligaments in his hand. He's had already multiple injuries in these playoffs. But you see that preparation and practice always beat being lucky, right? So you have to be ready, you have to work hard, you have to be ready for these moments. So I just wanted to do this as a tribute to someone who I've kind of hated on in the past. Not hated on, but someone maybe we took for granted over the last 5 or 6 years, especially when he was shipped out to OKC and then to the Suns, which wound up being a fantastic and great move. Kudos to Chris Paul for accepting that deal, and kudos for the Phoenix Suns to make that deal, a deal that some criticized because of his age. But kudos, man. In my era, I would say 2 guys who stood out the most were Tony Parker and Chris Paul, and Chris Paul still doing his thing. So hopefully the Suns get this. It's been a very impressive run with guys like Bridger and Eden and Devin Booker and all those guys, and Crowder. Shout out to those guys. Looking forward to a Suns victory.